Yeah.
Come on there, Mark.
Just shoot some video, no sweat.
Good video? Good.
What are we listening to?
Same music.
Huh?
Same music.
What's on those 2 pizzas?
These two?
Yeah.
Sausage, pepperoni, and 1 cheese.
Alright.
What are you doing, a project, Mark?
Yeah.
Are you? Of course I waited a minute.
Alright, go.
Wow.
Pizzeria. That last segment is what I've been doing the last 6 years. There's virtually nothing I don't know about the pizza business. Today what we're here to do is show you how to produce the same kind of results in your very own kitchen. So that you might say the pizza you're going to make is going to be as good, if not better, than your local pizzeria. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with 8 ounces of warm tap water, our salt, sugar, yeast, and wheat gluten. Wheat gluten is what's used in the pizza industry. It's known as high gluten flour. It helps give a pizza its flexibility and consistent rise in color throughout the industry. And by adding this to our own mix, it will help give us the same quality. And mix it all up, get it blended in there. And let's not forget our oil. This also helps to add the browning to our crust. Now when we add our flour, we'll add it 1 cup at a time. Now the dough is getting more pasty. I have to go slower. And we'll eventually want to just fold it in. Clean off our spoon, because this last cup we will be folding in almost entirely by hand. Again, I just want to fold it in. So we won't have time today to make all the dough that I have listed in our cookbook. The same procedure will follow for all of them. Alright, now that our dough seems to be just at the point where folding in more flour is not going to get us anywhere, we'll go ahead and start rolling it. By rolling it, we're rolling it inwards, therefore bringing the moist surface to the outside so it can be absorbed by the flour. Here you go. As it begins to stick, go ahead and roll it some more. Now we'll want to try and get as much of all the flour as possible into this, but it always works out that I always have just a little left over, and there's really nothing wrong with that. Again, every time I flour, I want to flour both sides. I want to get this flour absorbed into this dough as quickly as possible. When it rips like this, that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, all I'm doing is just folding it under like so and rotating. So I can always expose the moist side of the dough. As you can see, the dough is starting to become easily torn. That's a sure sign that this dough has absorbed as much or closely as much flour as it's going to. So with knowing that, I know I don't have too much further to go. Now, as you can see, as the dough is beginning to tear again, this time it's not tearing with the moisture side coming through. The side coming through is very dry. That tells me that this will probably just be about it. But I will go ahead and work all that flour in and pinch it all together like so. So we have ourselves a nice little dough ball. If you do have a dough mixer or dough mixing attachments for your mixer at home, feel free to use it. Your dough will come out a little more consistent than this. But in the end, after this has risen, it all come out the same. It's all done. It's time to go ahead and let it sit and rise. In our booklet, I mentioned you how you can wrap this in plastic wrap loosely. I'll show you with our dough later on. We'll cook up exactly what that looks like after it's risen. But what we'll do today is go ahead and add just a little extra oil into a cereal bowl. Work it all the way around. Then what we'll do is we'll take our dough ball, swirl it all the way around, and then we'll take the dry side and turn it up. So now the moist side is up and the dry side is down. The reason for this is so that the moist dough on the surface will not stick to the plastic wrap, and then also the dough as it rises will not stick to your bowl. Let's move some of this out of the way and show you exactly how loosely we want to wrap our dough ball. Because as it does rise, it will stretch the limits of your plastic wrap and even pierce through the weak spots. Again, just nice and loose. I do want to seal it up, but as you can see, I did not stretch the plastic wrap tightly over the cereal bowl or the dough ball. And that's about all you want, because you want this plastic wrap to have room to expand as the dough begins to expand. Get our dough out of the way, and either put in the refrigerator for use later on, or if not tomorrow, or set out on the counter, be ready in a couple hours. Let's go ahead and get started on our sauce. I prefer Libby's crushed tomatoes. Libby's, as far as I'm concerned, I think tastes more like real tomatoes. Some crushed tomato products I find have more salt in them than others, but I like the consistency that Libby's offers and the flavor. Tomato paste is tomato paste. You can't go wrong. I've tried a few others, basically just because they're on sale, and I can't say I've really noticed a difference in tomato paste. It does its job, and that's about all it's really here for. Now we'll go ahead and add our salt, our sugar, our black pepper, our oregano, and basil. Now, those 5 primary ingredients are the same ingredients every restaurant in town uses. But there are 3 ingredients that not all of them do use. We have our 2 cloves of fresh garlic, which we'll go ahead and add into this. Believe it or not, that pizzeria you just saw at the beginning of our show uses powdered garlic. And they're quite a successful pizzeria. They have about 14 stores here in the Phoenix Valley. And for as long as I've worked with them, I've never seen them use fresh garlic in their pizza. Now there's 2 other key ingredients to our mix that really will help separate us from everybody else. One is fresh parsley. We'll go ahead and chop up ourselves a tablespoon of fresh parsley. You can use dry parsley if you'd like to, but fresh parsley, I guarantee, will make a difference worth noticing. Alrighty. Our tablespoon of fresh parsley. And last but not least, another ingredient that actually no pizzeria I've ever worked for ever uses is Parmesan cheese, let alone fresh Parmesan cheese. There's nothing like fresh grated Parmesan cheese. You can get this in a triangular shaped brick at your local grocery store, and it offers a flavor unsurpassed by the powder stuff most of us are used to. So we'll go ahead and add our 2 tablespoons of fresh parsley, and mix. The reason for the crushed tomatoes is so that you do have crushed tomato in your sauce, and the paste helps kind of thicken your sauce without taking a lot of the water out. If you use just crushed tomatoes, as we do in our spaghetti sauce, you'll find your sauce to be just a little more watery based. Adding the paste definitely helps give your pizza sauce more body. It's worth noticing. Now we got a special treat for you today. Something I didn't add to my website, but we got for you anyways. Like many of you, when I order pizza, I like pizza and wings. Here in Phoenix, pizza wings are a really hot commodity. Earlier we started melting butter for this because wing sauce, as I know it, is typically cayenne pepper sauce, This is one brand, Red Devil. I'm used to jerky. And it's basically cayenne pepper sauce and butter. We'll add our melted butter, as it's easier to work with. Then we'll go ahead and measure out our cayenne pepper sauce. And for this recipe, we need 12 ounces. And then we'll add our chili powder, our powdered garlic, our black pepper, and our brown sugar. If you've had wings before, you'll probably know that most people do not use brown sugar for the wings. But I think adds a little originality and a little more flavor, something out of the ordinary. And that's just fine with me. Now what we'll do is grab ourselves a plastic container and some tongs and pull our wings from our tray. Sometimes they do tend to stick, so what I like to do is twist them before pulling them off, and it helps keep most of the wing intact, as you'll not be able to save all your wings this way. Another way you can avoid doing this, or having this problem, would be to turn your wings halfway through the baking process. This too will help keep them from sticking. Then from there, go ahead and just add just some pepper or some wing sauce. Or if you're good at tumbling, this is much easier. If you're not good at tumbling, don't worry about it. I've been doing it for a long time. Tumbling is easy. Now we'll go ahead and I've got my platter. Let's put our wings out here. Add some ranch. Now you have a side of wings. Now we got wings sitting there getting cold. Let's go ahead and get our pizza in the oven. We have available to you 3 different size pizza screens. 12-inch, which to some commercial pizzerias is considered a medium. Your 14-inch, to those same pizzerias are your large. And 16-inch, which to some pizzerias is an extra large. Or to your mom and pop pizzerias, typically this is your large pizza. Obviously, I can't tell you who's using this for large and medium, but you and I probably know who this is. In your kit, I decided to include with you the 16-inch. You can go ahead and make all size pizzas on this, but for whatever reason, if you wish to have more screens available to host larger parties, feel free to order them. Now, earlier in our show, I talked to you about wrapping your pizza dough in a plastic bag. As you can see here, this is what happens when you plastic wrap this. Now, unfortunately, this dough has set out a little too long, and I also mentioned to you about making sure your plastic wrap was loose and yet tight enough, because the dough always finds a way to find the weak spots. As you can see, this dough is set out just a little too long, and it did find the weak spot in our plastic wrap. There's always a weak spot in plastic wrap. Now, if you look here closely, you can see this dough is very porous. You can see large bubbles in here. Outside of this one here, you can see large bubbles in this. Okay, and what that tells me is that this dough typically is more than likely overproofed. An overproofed dough means chances are the yeast has done everything it's going to do with the amount of sugar it had available to it, and and as much starch they had available to it, and it's just not going to do much. So what that means to you and I is when this goes in the oven, two things are more likely going to happen. Either A, this is going to get just crispy. Actually, it'll probably just end up getting, it'll end up turning out crispy, more than likely, but it's going to end up turning out either off-colored or if not white. I've cooked a dough before where it came out, the crust was white, the cheese was burnt, and it was as crispy as crackers because the dough was overproof. So what we're going to do is use the dough we made earlier today in our show. Obviously this is a 30-minute video, but it's taken much longer than that to make. So this dough here has had a chance to rise the last couple hours, and this is exactly where we want it. Nice and risen. Now I've added a little flour. Move some of this out of the way. We'll add a little flour to our work area, because as you know, our dough did have oil on it. Notice how easy it is to pull out of the bowl. No stick, no fuss, no mess. Add a little more flour. Both sides. This way we know it's not going to stick to our hands when we work with it. Now, it's time to toss our pizza dough. Now what you want to do, first of all, you want to create a crust. So what I want to do is push down my fingers about 3/4 of an inch from the edge all the way around. And this dough is a very good dough. Again, I want to leave the center large. Turn it over, do the same to this side. So now I have a nice crust. The reason I want to leave the center large is because when I stretch this, it's going to stretch from the center first. And quite often, at work, the center becomes too thin, so when you go to pull up your pizza, it just falls through. Now when you want to toss your pizza dough, okay, there's two ways you can do this. You can either do it by your knuckle, and I'll show you once this has been stretched, or if you want to toss it like you've seen, what I do is slide it between your two hands, make sure your fingertips do not go beyond that imaginary ledge that we created, and then when we do this, rotate your hands a quarter turn. So I'm not just going to go back and forth, if we can see this. I'm going to rotate the dough like this. Like this, just quarter turn. So as we do this really quickly, and the reason I do this quickly is because, of course, the force helps stretch the dough. Here we go. As you can see, we got this on tape. Can you see this? Can you see through the dough to some degree? Can you see the even consistency? All right. What that means is our dough is evenly spread throughout the surface. Now, what I was telling you about the knuckles was, you could also, from the stretch or from the non-stretch position, just take your knuckles and kind of stretch it outwards and just kind of flop it around, flop it around. You're not expected to know how to toss pizza. Nobody is. If you do want to give it a try, feel free to watch that part over and over, and you'll have it down shortly, hopefully. To bring it in, I can feel the rim with my fingers, tap it in. This way I know the dough is not going to go beyond it. Alright. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and add our sauce. I cannot stress to you the importance of the success of this recipe, this video. All depends on the ingredients you use. It's totally up to you. Whatever you like. If you like your sauce thin, add thin sauce. If you like a lot of sauce, add extra sauce. It's really your personal preference. The success of this video all depends on you, as I can only take you so far with my suggestions and my ingredients and my recipes. From there, it all depends on what specific ingredients you use. The difference between fresh parsley and dried, powdered Parmesan or fresh Parmesan. It all makes a big difference. Even the amount of cheese you use. I always use about 12 ounces of shredded cheese on a large pizza. Now if you divide this dough recipe in half, which I do on occasion if I just want to have dinner for two and not have any leftovers, I'll use about 8 ounces of cheese. Now, the next key ingredient to our recipe, or our pizza, is toppings. Now, unlike here in Phoenix, they use fresh sausage, which makes the sausage pizza a little more greasier, but that's what makes the Chicago-style pizza. Today I'm using Farmer John brand sausage. It's a breakfast sausage, but I don't mind the flavor. If you like sausage, shop around. The only way you're going to find a good sausage you like is by working with it, unless you already know one. From Chicago might agree with me that what I'm going to make for you today is what we more or less know as being a good Chicago pizza. Pepperoni, sausage, green peppers, mushrooms, and onions. Find a brand that you like, because if you use an inexpensive brand or maybe just a pepperoni, a taste of pepperoni you don't like, it's really not going to do your pizza much justice, and then you're going to want to order out. Side, just in front here, and show you a couple ideas on how to chop up vegetables, which here in Phoenix, depending on the season and the sale, typically sell for 3 for $1, 2 for $1, something to that effect. And even by far, I'm not going to use the whole green pepper. This is just about half a green pepper. Notice the size of the chunks. When I order out and when I make pizza home, I want to taste the toppings. So you can see this. We got this. Again, we don't have to load this down. If you want to, be my guest. I just want to know those green peppers are there, because I have a lot more things to add. These typically don't sell for a whole lot, as most of us know. And again, I like things chunky style. So I'm going to cut me a nice fat ring. Take the outer skin off. Here we go. And then go ahead and just separate all the individual rings. I've cut it in quarters. Pizza in about 12 minutes or less. That time, of course, is this time. Once your pizza dough is risen, your sauce is made, your cheese is grated. You do all this in advance. Invite the guys over for football, basketball, whatever, and heat up your oven. You're good to go. It takes no time at all. Here in Phoenix are about $2 per pound of mushrooms. This is exactly a quarter pound of mushrooms, or 50 cents worth of topping. Again, I want to taste my mushroom, so I'll cut it thicker. Again, can we see the thickness on this? All right. Again, I want to taste this mushroom. And our cheese. Now, cheese is going to make your pizza as much, if not more, than anything else we've already put on it. I add just a little oregano. Again, this is something you find with Chicago-style pizza. Before we take it to the oven. Again, I made this pizza in my house. This pizza will look like something you've seen at a pizzeria sometime in your life. Go ahead and put this in. When you put your pizza in, obviously be careful not to burn yourself. Preheat your oven, and you do want to set it on the lowest rack possible, because technically you want your pizza closest to the flame, closest to the source of heat. As you may find with stone-baked pizzas, pizzerias that cook on a stone, the heat comes from the very bottom. So you want this as close as possible. Let's go ahead and take a look at our pizza. Turn our oven on. Alrighty. Can we see that? Can you see that? Let's get a good shot of that. Right there, boiling away in the oven. Got that? Alright. Cut that open. You can see the crust looks really good. Oh yeah. Now how's this? Pizza and wings. What a combination.